Good morning, Joe, and thank you for the opportunity to recount what has happened since that small little seed was planted in Tokyo almost 50 years or 50 years plus ago. I had the good fortune of being mentored by a man by the name of Dr. Donald McGavran, who was later considered to be the father of the church growth movement. He moved his school from Oregon to Fuller Seminary in my last year of study, and he only had like a half a dozen or more students. So there was a lot of attention given to each person that was there, and I was blessed to be one of them. Um, Not much came of that other than just a lot of opportunity to meet McGavran and Winder and Wagner and Tippett and those other guys. My wife and I then went off to Japan and we started our ministry there. On one of my trips back to the seminary, which was always to see and renew my acquaintance with Dr. McGavran, he said, you know, it's your responsibility to have a program that helps visionary pastors in Japan expand their ministry through being trained and equipped. And I said back to him, nice idea, but I think you got the wrong guy. I've never done anything like that. He says, well, think about it. I think it's your responsibility. And I continued to think about it. Before I left, I said, hey, I got an idea. Why don't you come to Japan with me for a month and we'll do this together? Because then I could be learning as well as helping whoever you would want to be teaching at the time. He said, no way. The school is just getting started and I need to stay here at Fuller. I went back to Japan, and as I thought about this, I thought, I'll write Dr. McGavran and ask him if I found one good, strong candidate that had a vision for church planning, had this vision, but didn't really know how to bring it into being. Could we start something like a church growth award affiliated with Fuller Seminary, and then you could coach him back in the US? Well, interestingly, he was very attracted to that idea. And that's actually the small seed that was originally planted with a man by the name of Takeshi Murakami. And McGavran, of course, had a lot of ideas as what should be done before he would come to America, like survey the communities that he had targeted. Murakami was a very interesting man because he was unassuming, but he was a faithful gospel warrior. And so he had this vision of having a network of lay-led churches surrounding the city of Tokyo. And I thought, wow, that's a vision that Dr. McGavran would like to hear about. So McGavran then said, well, you need to not only survey the communities that you're targeting, but you need to find out how the people that are in your fellowship came to faith. So anyway, a lot of preparation was done. Murakami Sensei then went to America for about 6 months and was personally tutored by McGavran and Wagner and others in the School of Church Growth at that time. And then also had the opportunity to attend Win Arndt's seminar on church growth, and Schuller had things going on. Peter Wagner said, hey, there's a guy in Atlanta that has a vision very similar to yours that you ought to get to know because there may be something you can learn from him. His name was Randy Pope, and he's the guy that started this perimeter Presbyterian church that surrounded the city of Atlanta. And well, to make a long story short, Murakami completed his 6 months of training, wrote a paper, had it critiqued by different professors at Fuller, and then went back to implement the plan. And to make a long story short, it was a great success. Then I was talking to McGavran again and saying, you know, this is a lot of work just for one guy to come to America. And he said, well, why don't you try to do what I originally encouraged you to do, which is to have a program in Japan. I said, that's a great idea, but we need to have a church growth scholar and maybe some practitioners that would come each time this program was implemented. And he agreed to the concept, but then when I gave him the push to say, yes, but you need to be the first one to come and be the church growth scholar. And well, after a lot of discussion, he agreed to do that. Then we said, well, who's going to be these practitioners? He says, well, you already have one, Murakami Sensei. You could do it 3 sessions each year. Murakami Sensei then was the practitioner from Japan, but then we needed some other practitioners from the US. And so McGavran says, well, go talk to Peter Wagner. He might have some ideas for you. So he rounded up 3 young men that were in America, and they were just getting their ministry started. One was Rick Warren, who had this little church that he was working with down in Saddleback. Second one was Randy Pope, who was down in Atlanta, and we had already known him, and he was glad to come. He was a young man. The third one was John Maxwell, who was in San Diego. So here we had a Presbyterian, a Baptist, and a Methodist, all focused on the same Great Commission expectation of growing the Church of Jesus Christ through visionary pastors that had a vision for the work. Well, that's how it got started. That was just a little seed. And to think that God would be pleased to use someone that knew nothing about it, but fortunately was in contact with people that were very experienced, that's what gave birth to what was then the Church Growth Award, then the Japan Church Growth Institute. Then under the leadership of Doug Birdsall, it became A2 and then went, I would say, throughout Asia, beginning in Mongolia. And now you're with the third generation of A3 going globally under your leadership, Joe. So it's fabulous to see how the Holy Spirit has nurtured this ministry for the glory of God through the power and the witness of the Holy Spirit in the life of those who are faithful to the gospel and are passionate about making him known, loved, and served among the nations. God bless you, Joe. You're God's man for this hour, and may his blessing be upon those that are in Bali considering how they can be a vibrant light for the gospel in their part of the world.